So I broke this down into 4 steps, and I'm really going to touch on the first.
India definitely is the biggest market outside of the US now, and we are doing a lot of things to help the Indian candidates to become a CPAs. We help over 1 million candidates to prepare for the CPA exams in the last 60 plus years, and CPA is always our flagship product.
So spent almost a decade over there and then moved to BlackRock. And who doesn't know BlackRock? I'm sure you know they are the largest asset managers in the world. CPA has been the core behind it. All right, I think we can start now. Let the people join in as they really follow. Just in the interest of time for everyone. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Wish you a very good evening to everyone. Good morning to you, Kyle. Thank you very much for joining in. The time that you have taken out today is primarily to understand what's really happening on US CPA side. What is this qualification all about? And what does this really unfolds for you as you really move on? And of course, hit the industry as you may want to be. So today is like another 55 minutes of time that we really have. We would be spending on in terms of making you not only understand the qualification to the core, but also to make you understand as to what would really make you eligible for it, what would really make you do this, how can you really do this, and of course, what all things are possible for you to really come up the curve and get best of the best preparation for you to hit the exam. And in order to do that, I have my set of panelists with me. I have my colleagues with me. I have Kyle Barrier, who is the Associate Director for NIS NASBA. And of course, we've been working very closely together in terms of any evaluation related things. And of course, NASBA related things that FinTram really gets into. So welcome, Kyle. Welcome on board. I do have Ben Wong with me. Ben Wong is the country director international for Becker's, and who doesn't know Becker's from the standpoint of US CPA. They are the best of the best content providers as far as the CPA is concerned, and we work very closely with Ben as far as helping the students get the best of the insights and the content when it comes to they clearing the CPA exam. Welcome, Ben. Welcome on board.
Thank you for having me.
With that, I'll just quickly bring on some of the sliders over here, guys. And all right. So first thing first, what we do want to be talking out today is, of course, to understand how US CPA is gonna be your path to success. And if I really give you a parlance, more from the Indian content or context standpoint, like we have the chartered accountants in India, and I'm a qualified chartered accountant, and of course I have my set of colleagues with me who are having various qualifications in relation to finance. On the similar lines, in US we have US CPA. Like we have CA in India, in US we call it to be CPA, who has the right, who has the responsibility, who has the authority of signing off the financials, auditing the US companies, the global companies across the globe. And that's where, considering the outreach that US has on each and every country across the geography as such, the kind of scope that US CPA has is really multifold. And I can tell you this because testimony of the fact is that I did my CPA like 25 years back. And when I did that, that was the point in time where many of the US companies were like entering in India or having a presence in India, started having presence in India. But what has happened over a period of time is that you would find like any and every good name that is there in US, you would find the presence across the globe now, including India. And that's where, the demand of CPA has really grown up in terms of the need that these companies have for anyone to really demonstrate the ability to understand the US set of financials, the way US set of financials are to be understood, they are to be audited, and so on and so forth. So that's where, US CPA is really, really changing the game for many of the professionals around the globe. And that's where, you should be thinking about when it comes to US CPA as a qualification. I do want to spend a couple of I would say minutes on you knowing the I would say the panelists or the esteemed guests that we have. As I said, I have Kyle Barrier with us. He's the associate director with NASBA, and anything and everything that you have in relation to evaluation, because evaluation is going to be one of the important aspect for you to really pursue your journey. He's the go-to person. In addition to that, I have our dear friend Benjamin Wong with us. He's the director international for Becker, and he has been instrumental, very instrumental, I would say, for many of the students across the globe to now become a qualified CPA. They have, because Becker has been the pillar behind them. Becker has been the I would say the content for them to really clear the exam. And he heads a lot in relation to various geographies that he manages and has been helping students around the globe. If I'll just take a couple of minutes explaining, who we are and what we do, the way we do. FinTram Global is one of the leading platform that I represent. And what we demonstrate is the global expertise that we have in various international qualifications, whether it is US CPA, US CMA, ACCA, IFRS, CFP, enrolled agent, and what various other CPE courses that we really deal with. We work with various corporations across India. We work with various business schools across India in terms of helping their students pursue the international qualification dream. And of course, we work with I would say, with the student fraternity at large in terms of helping their CPA dream turning out into reality. That's what we are known for. That's what we really target to really help you have a future in the CPA as a qualification. And that's what we'll be probably taking you through in terms of what all we do in the coming like 45-50 minutes of time. If you really talk through in terms of what is US CPA, somewhat somewhere we all understand that of course, since a chartered accountant in any country is certainly I would say a must to go kind of a person. Uh, and especially when it comes to the US context, the recognition goes multifold because US itself has a very global presence across the world. And if you have a qualification that is a US qualification, which is uh, needed not only by the US companies but also companies that deal with US. And I can tell you, when I did my CPA, I was part of Wipro at that point in time, and Wipro was listed in US. So they wanted somebody to understand the US gaps, US gas, and they needed somebody who understands the US framework. And that's how I really got the chance of pursuing this qualification within Wipro. And after that, I can tell you, rest is all history, because I spent almost decade over there and then moved to BlackRock. And who doesn't know BlackRock? I'm sure they are the largest asset managers in the world. I to head their finance, and from there I moved to BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, to head their finance. CPA has been the core behind that, because the kind of trust and the credibility this qualification really brings on to the table for yourself is something to be relished. Career, from the career advancement side, as I said, I'm one of the testimony that you're hearing. If you really go on and on the street in terms of knowing people who have done CPA, you can very well understand the kind of growth that they would have observed, whether it is big fours, whether it is the top-notch Indian companies, whether it is the top-notch US companies for that matter. All of them really recognize CPA as a qualification, and they really understand the kind of competence that you bring onto the table when you have a qualification like this. And since they understand the competence, they understand how this qualification really unfolds for you. This really brings up various kind of prospects and opening your gate to, I would say, for you to have a seat at the table in the interview in many of those big time corporations. And you name it, and we have been working with them, whether it is the big fours, whether it is the big ones and the big twos, or whether it is I would say the global banks that we really deal with. Most of them, they really want to hire, they have been hiring CPAs, and that's where this really opens up a very different set of uh, toll gate for you if you're thinking about this qualification. This is more like giving you a perspective in terms of, how the numbers have been flowing. And of course, we have taken data from various sources. From the CPA perspective, considering the CPA exam, and many of the folks at times believe or think that CPA exam is an easy exam. Let me just correct you there. It's not an easy exam. They really, really test you from top to bottom. They really test you in depth in terms of what the content should be, and that's why this qualification is being recognized around the globe, because the value that a qualified CPA brings onto the table is something to be relished. But even then, the passing rate of this qualification is around 40 to 50%, depending upon year, depending upon the time. And the reason for that is that you can give CPA exam one by one. If I really compare or give you a comparison with reference to anything that is there in India, this qualification really gives you wings, because this actually helps you uh, understand that unlike any Indian qualification wherein you have to give exam in groups and clear all the subjects and of course score 40, 50, whatever, over here you can effectively plan yourself, plan which exam you want to give first, and of course go for it, give that, move on to the second one, give that, move on to the third one, and so on and so forth. There are only 4 exams to be given for CPA, irrespective of whatever background you come from. And since you can give one-on-one basis, the result passing percentage is really high. There are more than 5,000 CPAs in India. Number can be more now. And of course, around the world, there are like 700,000 CPAs working across the globe in terms of helping not only the companies that belong to US, but companies that belongs to their own local countries in terms of helping their global accounting and reporting really being taken care in the rightful manner. To give you the context of eligibility, and I'll probably uh, uh, not really get onto the area which Kyle ideally should be, talking about, which is like credits and everything. But I just wanted to give you in the Indian parlance. US CPA requires approximately, US CPA requires 120 credits for you to really sit for the exam, and 150 credits for you to be licensed. And 1 year of graduation effectively gives you 30 credits. So effectively, your graduation, which is like BCom, that has given you 90 credits. One additional year of qualification or additional year of chartered accountancy or any professional course that you've spent, or an MBA or an MCom, will give you 30 more credits and makes you eligible for setting out for the CPA as a qualification. I'm sorry for the bad throat today. I'm struggling with the cough and the cold today. Sorry for that. Um, Rest in terms of detailing out and of course explaining you about in detail about the CPA eligibility, I'll probably roll over to Kyle to really come up and of course share the things that he would like to. Kyle, I'm just making you to be the host. Maybe you can pick it up from here.
All right, hopefully you can see my presentation now. And so US CPA exam in India, that's why I'm here, to help increase that knowledge. And looks like, you can tell from the earlier slides, there's already some traction. It's good to see. I'll cover a little bit of an overview like that, then I'll get into some of the details, the step-by-step process for becoming eligible. Because it is a step-by-step process where it starts with that international evaluation report. So overview, the governance of it, why being a CPA, a lot of the benefits were just spoken about. The fundamentals of the requirements, that will be the step-by-step process, some details about how the exam's been doing in India so far, and some resources. So just an explanation, and I have this slide in almost every presentation, but how it works, so you understand that. But it's not just one organization making the CPA possible. You have the 55 jurisdictions. Those are the boards of accountancy. They actually regulate the license and issue the CPA license. And that's why you may see some slightly differing requirements, because they make their own requirements. They all ultimately follow the Uniform Accountancy Act, the UAA, for guidance. So they are similar, but there are some variations. Then you have the AICPA. They actually develop the CPA exam and they score the CPA exam. They then deliver that information to NASBA, and we distribute that to you, the candidates, as well as the state boards. NASBA, the company I work for, we're an association for the boards of accountancy. We help them in all aspects, including starting with eligibility assessments, the National Candidate Database, which are the CPA exam scores. That's also the gateway system, as well as on the back end with compliance, CPE hours. We have a department that helps handle that. And then Prometric, the brick and mortar test center that has the 8 locations in India, that has they're in every country. And even though the CPA exam is not in every country, there typically is a Prometric presence. And so why CPA? I know this FinTram touched on this earlier, but really to hammer this home, talking about the growth, stability, just the fulfillment you get. And it is still one of the top certifications in finance and accounting. That's from a Robert Half Salary Guide 2022. Giving you that competitive edge, I think was a big thing, where you heard about, the being over the finance departments, 25 years ago. I cannot believe that. It's been a while. I think the growth we've seen in India since then, I think back then just starting to see like the big 4 firms get more of a presence in India. Well, now it's much more than that. It's not just big 4 firms, it's medium-sized firms, it's companies, US companies, multinationals. It's expanded so much. You get that security with your career, having that CPA license, the job satisfaction, income potential. There is a significant difference versus just someone who just graduated college with an accounting degree going into accounting versus someone who's graduated and has the CPA. And we did this, it's been about 2 years now, but in India, we looked at the average salary, and it was about a little bit over 20% higher. And granted, this was about 2.5 years ago, but 691,000, almost 692,000 rupees per year as the average base salary. And this is starting out too, with not, only a year or 2 experience and having the US CPA. So the CPA exam is in India. We launched it in June of 2020. And then we went to continuous testing in January of 2021. And these are the 8 cities where there is a Prometric test center. I think Mumbai has a mega center, so there are like 2 in Mumbai. But there's at least 1 in each of these 8 cities. And that's geographically spread throughout India, as best as we could when working with Prometric. So let's get started on the eligibility process, because you have to get started. And I know FinTram will help you with that, working with Becker on that process. They've sent many candidates through that process. But it starts with step 1, having your higher education that was obtained outside the US equated to the equivalents in the United States education system. That way, the boards of accountancy, or NASBA, if we do it on behalf of the board, can easily determine if you are eligible to take the CPA exam. Because the boards of accountancy put an eligibility requirement in place in their laws and statutes, they have to make sure that candidates are meeting those. So what we do with NIS, we have you facilitate with your college or university. And what if the college is autonomous, they can submit everything to us: mark sheets, consolidated mark sheets, transcript, whatever it is, and the degree certificate. If they're not autonomous, then the university needs to sign off on those and issue them. But once we've identified that we have all the documents, we give it to our evaluation team. They do the research, making sure it comes from the school, and then equating it to the US equivalents, categorizing courses, making sure you have certain accounting courses. Some jurisdictions require specific courses like in auditing and tax, not usually US tax, so just Indian tax is fine for most jurisdictions. Financial accounting, management accounting, all of that. And the reason why a lot of boards have started using NIS since 2012 is just leveraging our accounting knowledge. We customize our reports exactly to what their requirements are. And we try to make a transparent pricing. So whether you have a BCom, MCom, a CA, chartered accountant, you have all 3 of those, it's the same cost to do all three of those. We don't upcharge you for each credential. So I broke this down into 4 steps, and I'm really going to touch on the first 2. Because I know Becker and FinTram are all over number 3. And then number 4 is the very last one. But step 1 is completing that international evaluation report. Like with NIS performs this. From there, you're not on a strict timeline. You can digest the results, make sure you can work with FinTram and they can review to see, okay, you do meet requirements for this state. You can usually tell that just by looking at our report. And then the second step will go into the eligibility, the formal eligibility with the Board of Accountancy directly or with NASBA, because we do that on behalf of 37 of the boards of accountancy. A jurisdiction like California, they do that themselves. They're a large board of accountancy. So once you did step 1 with us, you would then apply directly with California for that eligibility determination. Now, a lot of boards like Montana, Washington, Guam that are popular with international candidates because they don't require a residency or a social security number. You do step 1 with NIS, and then step 2 is also with NASBA, but it's a different department. It's our CPA portal team. But that's step 2. And then step 3 is obviously preparing and passing the CPA exam. And you see that we now have extended time, 30 months or even 36 months for 3 jurisdictions. And then once you've passed that, then the last step, applying for that CPA license with the Board of Accountancy. That's when that they see you passed the CPA exam. They see your education because that gets forwarded as well. And then they will need to look at your work experience. So got about 8 slides left, but let's get into some of the details for each of those steps, especially steps 1 and 2. But step 1, doing the evaluation. I know FinTran can help guide you some, but I've introduced in 2024, early 2024, this roadmap that leads to videos to help guide you in the process of getting documents issued, to help on setting up your user account with NIS so you know all the steps. It kind of guides you through that process from the candidate viewpoint. And so let's say you finish the international evaluation report. You see how your education equates in the US system. The next steps after that. So step 2, and by the way, I don't think I put a price on this, but this one it's $240 US for the state-specific international report. And then step 2, applying for the CPA exam for the eligibility. And this is what leads to the notice to schedule. But it is it's anywhere from $90 US to $140 US. And what you do is for those 37 jurisdictions, you sign up with the CPA portal with NASBA, and you submit that application for the eligibility assessment. This is what it looks like from a candidate user account. You see, once you've created that CPA portal user account, this, for example, is Washington. There's an apply now. I circled at the top. Obviously, in this example, they've already applied, they were eligible, and they've signed up for auditing. You can see that at the bottom. And then that's where you pay that $90 to $140 is once you've clicked apply now, fill out some questions, pay the fee. And it's a rather quick turnaround time with them. They've become pretty lean with that. 2 weeks is all it will take once you apply with them. The international evaluation report, which is step 1, is a little bit longer. It's taking us anywhere from, it's been up to 8 weeks, but we're trimming it down to 6 weeks. And my goal for the spring is to be at 4 weeks. But right now we're at about 6 weeks. And so going into then step 3, once you become eligible, you receive the notice to schedule. You will have to pay a fee for the CPA exam sections as well, but then you start preparing for the exam. Some resources out there. The AI CPA has the blueprints that really go over the content for each area. I'm sure Becker will hit on this more. That's Ben's wheelhouse, especially with the new exam changes with evolution. But so I'm not going to talk any more about the CPA exam because that's really AI CPA. and I know Becker works with them, and so does FinTram. But I want to show you this graphic because this shows, I said we launched in India. We only had 3 months in 2020. It was June 2020, September 2020, and December 2020. And these are the CPA exam test sections that were taken in India each year. I'm still working on the 2024 data. Hopefully by another month, I'll have all that and can add it here. But you can see the growth, the traction that is happening because of the benefits of being a US CPA. Pretty awesome growth throughout the years. Now, 2024 is probably very similar to 2023 because the exam change and the psychometricians with AI CPA, it wasn't being graded as quickly just to make sure it was sound. So it was a longer wait to apply for a new test section. So I'm interested to see those numbers, but I should have those updated soon. But just wanted to share that. And then something that is new, that's a great benefit for getting started now. And I think maybe even if I get I think there may be a new map I need to look for from leadership, but this map shows each US jurisdiction. As we talked about, there are 55. They regulate their own CPA license, but they've all made the decision to increase the time period from 18 months to at least 30 months. And in some cases, like Washington, which is a big destination for international candidates, and then Indiana and South Carolina, which those two states are not as big a destination, but those three jurisdictions give you 36 months. Once you pass your first CPA exam section, you have 36 months to pass the remaining three. In the past, it used to be 18 months. And then every other jurisdiction in green or in gold, they are going to or are already at 30 months, which is a full year longer than it used to be. So great stuff happening to allow you to prepare and pass the CPA exam. And then here is another chart. And what this shows is every jurisdiction except for one for now is that 30-month or 36-month time frame. It will start the date that NASBA releases the score. In the past, it was not the same for every jurisdiction. One jurisdiction may have started on the date you actually took that CPA exam section. Another would have said, okay, at the end of the month that you tested is when we start. And it was just confusing for candidates. So now we're getting all the boards of accountancy are pretty much on the same page with this. And it buys you a little extra time as well. So that's all I have. I don't know if we want to take questions now or wait till after Ben goes, but I'll leave that up to.
Thank you, Kyle. So always learn something new every time I talk to Kyle. Yeah, so I've been with Becker for about 17 years now. So I've been working in the international departments for the last 17 years, dealing with international candidates in almost every single country, right? So India definitely is the biggest market outside of the US now, and we are doing a lot of things to basically to help the Indian candidates to become a CPAs. So just in case, I think most of the people know like there are like 3+1 exams to become a CPA. So basically there are three core exams: financial accounting, auditing, and regulations. So that's the core that you have to pass. And then you also have to pass one of the discipline exams. So discipline exams are BAR, the business analysis and reporting, okay, ISC, information system and control, and also the tax compliance and planning. So basically 3+1. But regardless of which discipline you choose, so after you pass all four exams and you become a licensed CPAs, so there's no differentiations. So there's only one destination, it's all the same. Okay, so let's talk about like why Becker and like what Becker's been doing the last 60+ years. So next slide, please. Okay, so we've been around for over 60 years. So Becker was founded in 1957. So actually almost, I would say almost 70 years now, right? So we help over 1 million candidates to prepare for the CPA exams in the last 60+ years. And CPA is always our flagship product. So we know the product, the exams inside and out. So we basically all the questions that we have within the question banks are very similar to the actual exams. I wouldn't say the same. It cannot be the same, but it's very close to the actual exams. So in the US, the top 100 accounting firms, 100 out of the top 100, they're all Becker's client. And also, if you do really well on the exams, on the first attempts, so AICPA will give you an award called What Sales Award. So those are for the top score. So the requirement is if you actually pass all 4 exams on your first attempts, and your average score is 95.5%, so you receive that What Sales Award award. So so AICPA has been giving out this award since 2005. So for the last many years, almost 20 years now, so 90% or above of the What Sales Award winners actually from Becker. Okay, so and also of course we work with a lot of accounting firms, like internationally, corporations, alliance, government agencies, and universities that a lot of the organizations work with Beckers. And one thing that I would say I'm very proud to share is, so we did a survey a couple of years ago about students that properly used the Becker content. So what do you mean by that? So there's a terms for that called exam day ready. So if you actually view 80% of the videos, okay, so do 80% of the homework questions and get 50% or more on our simulated exams within the platforms. So based on that, so the passing score for those students are 94%. So per sections. So it's really high. I think package share about the passing rate in the past is about 40 to 50%. So 94% almost double the global average. Next slide, please. But how do we make it happen, right? So of course, so with the technology these days, right? Because when we first started, I think Becker was using, of course, the live classes, and also we share the VHS videos, and then we move on to CD, and then move on to DVD, and now everything's online, right? So it's so much easier. So basically, you actually study anytime, anywhere, as long as you have the internet access. So it's also mobile ready. So in case that you're like myself, right? Well, I'm using my phone all the time. So if we use your mobile phone, you can also do questions. You can actually watch the videos and all that. So basically, it allows you to study anywhere, anytime. So the next point is actually also very important. So actually Becker was built based on the belief that everybody's busy. So we don't want you to we don't actually bombard you with something that are not exam or testable, right? So everything that you see on our materials, on content, they're exam focused. So there's no point for us to give you a lot of like too many questions, and then you spend a lot of time doing those questions, but you don't expect to see them on the exams. So and that's why we actually spend a lot of time, instead of adding more questions. Of course, we'll add additional questions to our question banks, but at the same time, we also remove questions from our question banks just because we don't want you to spend like too much time to prepare for the exams. Because our objective is to get you to get to 75%, which is the passing score for the CPA exams. So even though we have a lot of the What Sales Award winners that use Becker, but this is not our objective. Our objective is to get you to get to 75% and become a CPA, right? So, and also one thing is important about the up-to-date content is because the exam do change from time to time, right? So whenever there's a new standard, either like the US GAAP standard or the tax law changes, so 6 months after the effective date, so those content could be testable on the exams. And that's why we have to continuously update the contents. So I would say that Becker will be the first one, or the most effective providers in the world that basically update the content. So as a matter of fact, as you may know, in 2024, so they have the CPA evolutions. So that's where the new contents comes in. So again, I'm proudly say that. So Becker is the first one that came up with the new content for the new exams. Okay, of course, like within this platforms, it has a lot of features, right? So one of the features is the of course, is the lecture videos. So it has the concept videos. It has also what we call the skill builder videos. So concept videos, I think everybody knows about it, right? It's talking about like the concept theories and all that. But the skill builder videos is something that kind of unique for Becker. So since we don't have time to talk about the exam details, but there's two type of questions on the exams, right? So the MCQ, which is multiple choice questions, and also the task-based simulation questions. So everybody knows how to do MCQ questions. Basically, four answers, pick one that basically you think is the best answer. But the task-based simulation could be very different. It's a short case, and it could test you on different things. So, and that's why we actually include within our platforms a skill builder videos, a video that come with every single TBS questions within our platforms. So basically that videos will teach you how to approach the questions most effectively, as actually how to optimize your points on the TBS questions, right? So this is very important, very popular among our students. And also there's a lot of questions within within our platforms. So of course they come with homework questions, right? So MCQ and TBS. And also we have the unlimited practice test, basically could be done randomly, or if you want to utilize our AI platforms, so we can actually pick the questions based on your interactions with our platforms and create the practice test for you. So, and also included in the platform is actually the simulated exams. So we said there are 3 simulated exams per part. So out of the 3 exams, the first one is actually more like a trial, right? So even though they almost make the real exams, but the other 2 are actually we created based on the actual weighting of the topics from the CPA exams. So again, everything is kind of make the actual CPA exams. Next slide, please. Okay, some of the features that I want to mention, right? So first thing is the personalized learning. So I think a lot of our competitors or the content providers said they also have the AI technologies, but AI technology sometimes I think is being abused, right? So everything they have is AI, AI, AI. But honestly, right? So Becker is not an AI company, so we don't create our AI engine. There's no way we can do it properly. So that's why instead of creating our own AI technologies, we adopt it. We actually use another company called Center Labs. So they are basically from the ex-Google, ex-Amazon people that create the AI technologies just for educations. So we adopted the technologies. We use that as the back end to basically do to support our platforms, our students. So basically, actually when you use our platforms, do the questions, all this will be tracked within the platforms, and we actually use it also compare against other students within our platforms. So at any one point in time, so we have like 50,000 or more student on our platform. So basically that gives you a lot of data that they can analyze. So by having that, so they can actually tailor-made your practice questions. So they can actually let you know by giving you this batch whether you are ready for this particular modules or particular units or particular parts. So powerful. So basically what you want to do if you use the Becker platforms, so we want to basically get to 2.5 star on this batch, we'll call proficiency batch, then you're ready to do the exams. Next slide, please. Okay, that's the skill builder video we talk about. Basically it's our instructors going through the TBS question with you, teaching you how to approach them and basically optimize your points. Right. So then again, right. So all the video that we have come with captions. So in case you're not familiar or you're not like comfortable with the American English, so you can turn on the captions, right? But if you want to actually listen to that a lot faster, Right? You can actually change the speed to like 1.2, 1.5, or 2. It's really up to you, right? So depending on how comfortable or not comfortable you are. Next slide, please. Okay, and here's the similar exams, right? So it's actually very important because unless you sit for the exams before, otherwise you probably never seen the interface before, right? And that's why when we build the simulated exams, we try to do it basically as much as we could the same as the actual exams. So we are very proud of that. So anything that you see on our simulated exams, you're pretty much the same as the actual exams. Even the instructions, even the font, a lot of the functionalities is the same. So basically, we want to give you the confidence that you need before you go to walk into the prometric testing centers. Next one, please. Yeah, I think this is pretty much all I have today. But of course, right? So if we want to go through the details or a demo on the Becker, we probably need an hour or two, right? So, but this is just the highlight of the features. So then I'll save the question at the end. So I'll pass it back to Pankaj.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Kyle. I think very helpful, guys. And I can tell you guys, and I'm a Beckerite. So while I'm an old timer CPA, did CPA like 20 plus years back. I can tell you that the kind of support and the content and the methodology that Becker really brings onto the table. As a student, I'm telling you, not as a teacher now. As a student, this is something extraordinary when it comes to the CPA exam. They really knows the nerves of what this exam is all about. They're completely updated, as Ben rightly mentioned, and I can tell you, they're really real time in terms of the updations that are happening as far as the CPA world is concerned, as far as the AI CPA is concerned. They're very much informed in terms of what is changing, how it is changing, and what is being tested, and so on and so forth. And that's what really makes student life really easy, because when you would go into the exam, you would really not be surprised in terms of seeing anything. In fact, the kind of simulated exam that Becker module really demonstrates really is the absolutely same one what you would see in the exam. So it really, from the acquaintance standpoint, from the knowing standpoint, Becker really helps you get up the curve, know entirely how the things would be tested, which really makes journey of an individual very easy. And gone is the time, guys, when I gave this exam, I had to go to US. Now it is in India. You can, of course, Kyle did mention the states in which the exams are happening. The life has really become easier, because when you have FinTram Becker with you, when you have exams happening in India, the journey really becomes easier. And that's actually brings me, it's a right segue to bring me onto the slide in terms of what FinTram really offers. Of course, in conjunction with NASPA and Becker, all the support that is to be provided to you, we are anyway there for that. But what in addition to that, we have been providing you is that we would be providing you the weekend online interactive sessions like what you're seeing right now, wherein you can come, you can chat with difficulty, and since it'll be a live session that we would be providing you out, the kind of touch that you would have with difficulty, the understanding that you have with difficulty is really different. So that's again something that one would really look for. In addition to that, as Ben was mentioning, the best of the best content, which is the Becker content, is certainly made available to you. We work very closely with Becker on that, so that is again something that is being available to you. We also have various revision boot camps and doubt clearing sessions, including a test bank sessions that we do during the week. That is again something that is being available to you. And the icing on the cake is that all of the sessions, the live sessions that we would have with you, the recording of that would also be provided to you along with the notes. So the recordings of those sessions would also be provided to you. Uh, any kind of ongoing doubt resolutions that you have, you can certainly reach out, because there is a chat support that is being available to you on Telegram, wherein you can reach out to us, and then there are mentors who would be answering that. And I can tell you, one of the most important piece of CPA examination is getting yourself evaluated, having your pre-evaluation done, the entire hand holding that you need from the evaluation perspective, and of course the exam registration, and then of course reaching out to the licensing. Anything and everything is duly taken care by FinTram. So we exactly try to, what Kyle has been mentioning in terms of, the states, in terms of, what you should be thinking about, how you should be going about the step-by-step approach that you really need to have. FinTram is there to hold a fort for you to really, of course, be on the best side of or the better side of you getting evaluated and of course sitting out for the CPA exam. That's pretty much, guys, what we really had in terms of, showing you and of course showcasing you exactly what what FinTram along with Becker and in support from NASBA really brings on to the table. We have the set of panelists here any which ways. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So if you can put it on a chat box, guys, we'll be more than happy to pick up any questions that you may have. Okay, so I have a question saying, as an Indian CA, which jurisdiction out of 55 we should select? Kyle, do you want to pick up?
Yeah, sure. That's one that I get quite often. And so while I don't want to throw a blanket over it, there are limited choices because you're living in India still. I'm assuming you do not have a US Social Security number. Um, and this is something that FinTram and Becker has seen quite a bit, so they could probably help as well. But there's probably only a handful or more of states that would be much easier to grant the license based on, I'm assuming you have with the CA, you might also have the 3-year bachelor. And that combination usually always will have over 150 semester credits as an equivalence. So the jurisdictions I would suggest off the top of my head, don't take it as law or anything, but you've got Montana, you've got Washington, you've got Guam, Arizona could be an option. I'm trying to what I want to make sure is that you don't face any barriers at the time of license. So these are ones that you should most likely be able to start your journey with and see it through to get the CPA license. There are a lot of jurisdictions that will allow you to get started without a US Social Security number, but at the time of your CPA license application, a US Social Security number will be required. So off the top of my head, those are 4 that should be pretty solid options for you.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. And I think Amit, you asked it. If you have any further questions on that, do reach out to the team. They'll be able to really, I would say, go through your documents and of course give you the final advice on that. How to know in which state to register? 30-month rule is minimum or maximum? So if I really give you a bird's eye view of the entire US map that Kyle just showed, 30-month rule is now applicable all across except for 3 which are giving 36 months. So most of the states are giving you this. You can, depending upon your credentials, we can really tell you which state to use. But as far as 30 or 36 months is concerned, most of states are offering that, so you should not be worried about it at all.
Yeah, it's the maximum as well. Like you can get it done in 12 months or 18, but you just cannot go over that 30 or 36, depending on which jurisdiction. That's the maximum amount of time.
I can tell you one thing in relation to this, and that's very personal to me. When I gave my CPA exam, we had a time limitation of 18 months. And in between those 18 months, you have to go to US, sit for the exam, clear it. And since it is US, you have to go probably once only to clear all 4 exams, which I did because there's a cost involved in it. And when you have such a kind of a pressure, you end up doing that too. When you get too much of a leeway, you probably try to go more back late, guys. So what is really imperative here is that while they're giving you 30 months now, your plan should be to clear this in 15 to 18 months of time. And that's what we at FinTram really follows, and of course have been pushing out our students that while 30 months window is certainly there, target and give yourself a plan which really revolves around in 15 to 18 months of time so that you can qualify as soon as possible. You're learning, you're giving exam, learning, giving exam. You're not wasting time. Because if you'll start doing that, then this 30 months will be lesser. Even 36 months will be lesser because you'll be wasting hell lot of time over there. Avoid that.
I think that's called human nature. Yep. That's what happens. But also, because if you do go beyond 30 months, what happens is it's a rolling loss of test section credit. So you would have to pay the fee again for whatever section that you already passed, but you took too long and didn't pass the remaining three, and you'd have to take it and pass it again. And no one wants that to happen.
Yeah. I have another one for you, Kyle. From Bangladesh, which jurisdiction is perfect for me as a CA Bangladesh and CMA US? And in Bangladesh is not having Prometric Center, or it has it, but they are not taking CPA exam. Can you tell me when is that possible? Any possibility to start CPA exam from Bangladesh Prometric Center?
Yeah, and so we get requests every so often at NASBA that we meet with leadership about. I haven't seen Bangladesh on the radar, and there's a lot of things that go into that for expanding. So I can't really comment on that right now. But I do, I would follow the same rules. I'm not as familiar with the CA from Bangladesh like I am with, the chartered accountant from India that we see a lot of volume. Um, and then in CMA from US, we don't give any credit for that. That's a US professional qualification, so it doesn't count toward education requirements. But work with Becker and FinTram. It very well may be the same thing that I said earlier about the 4 or 5 jurisdictions off the top of my head. They're probably the best pathway, I would imagine.
Tirtha, I think we spoke on that, so don't worry on this. Give us all the mark sheets that you have. We'll pick this up for you. Another one, is BCom plus final year law student eligible for CPA? Answer would be yes, provided, of course, you have the relevant accounting credits. We have to see your credentials in order to really comment 100% on that. So please reach out to the team, give them the documents. They'll be able to come back to you exactly with how many credits you have, and how can you really go forward with that.
Yeah, and for the license part though, you will need to finish the BBL program because just the BCom on its own is only a 3-year program. So once you finish both, we've seen that combination that 'cause I think it's a 3+3 or 3+2 at least. So yeah, you could probably get started, but for license, you will need to finish the law degree as well.
Okay. If someone is aspiring to be CFO role, how can US CPA compared with MBA finance in US?
Well, and what I would say, and you could probably speak about this maybe even better than I, being in finance, but that's an educational degree, which is great, but it's not a professional license where you're taking a high stakes exam, and you're following up with CPE hours every year. And so you may have many people that become accountants that could have an MBA, but they're still not a CPA, like a licensed CPA.
Yeah. And I can tell you one thing without even looking at numbers right now, because this question keep coming to me also. Just circle out, guys, how many how many management schools we have in US, and how many management school students are passing on yearly basis, as compared to how many CPAs are passing on. You would realize that number is really less when it comes to CPA, and that's how the demand of the CPAs is. If the MBA is not from the tier 1 tier 2 college, it is not going to be landing you, it is not going to be taking you to places. But if you have devoted good amount of time in doing CPA, boss, the sky would be different. And as I've been saying, testimony to that is, you can see that somebody sitting out here who has worked for all the top notch big companies at the leadership role, at the CFO role, just because he had a US CPA being done at right point in time. Another one, Kyle. I am living in a Bay Area and not sure about evaluation. Can I register with California? So it's not about the area. I think, Kyle, I'll take this. I think it's not about the area where you stay. Right now, what is important is we have to see your credentials. We have to see your mark sheets. We have to see your certificates in terms of how many credits you have. Then we can really tell you which state you should be looking forward to. Without seeing that, saying a state would be too far-fetched. Okay. Do we get PTIN by default if we clear CPA? Kyle, do you want to pick up, or
Oh,
I should take it?
did you say ITN?
PTIN number. What enrolled agent has to get.
Oh, is that the personal tax identification number?
Yes.
Yeah, I doubt it, but I'll let you and Ben. I don't think I've got that question before.
No, I think it's a different thing, right? So you can apply for the PTIN number, but it's not automatic.
Yeah. Can a science background student clear CPA? Ben, do you want to pick it up?
Yeah, I think I I came across this type of questions a lot, right? So of course, right? So if you only have a science degree, so you probably don't have the accounting credits to allow you to sit for the exams, right? So then it's not possible. But right, so if you for some reason on how get the accounting credits needed or qualify for the exams, I came across some people. I think in the past when I first started with Becker, there are states that allow candidate to sit for the exams without accounting credits. Right, that state is actually Maine, but that's been changed a long time ago, right? During that time, so we had students from science background, art background, legal, lawyer that cleared the exams, right? So it's possible, but again, right? So because of the requirement from the state board, so you need accounting credits.
And to piggyback on that, I do see that sometimes with the volume coming through for international evaluation, as we call it, career changers. You may have the Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts, and then but you do have to get the extra accounting credit. So after that, maybe they go into a master that's accounting or finance, or get it just like bridge courses. Um, and then they just prepare and they could pass. Just because your background's different doesn't mean you can't change over later on. Um, and yeah, those states are fewer now about allowing entry, but I've seen Alaska have some rules around allowing entry. If you have the bachelor equivalent in the US, which would be 120 credits and the bachelor equivalents, they do have some interesting ways that you could be eligible, but the kicker is for license, you can't be licensed because they now have a residency requirement. So you have to then figure out go somewhere else for license. But there still are avenues.
Yeah, makes sense. Another one I have is again on the same side, which is like, can I go to California? I'm not, I've not received satisfactory answer regarding my eligibility for taking exams. How to be 100% sure after mooting an application for CPA. So I think this comes from Pooja. Okay, so Pooja, let me give you a bird's eye view in terms of what all you need to be sure of when it comes to evaluation. From the US CPA perspective, the evaluation has to be done considering various perspectives into mind. One, of course, the 120 credits or 150 credits as what you would need for you to be really qualifying as a person who can really sit for the exam or get a license there. But there is another leeway that many of these state boards have is that how many accounting credits you have, how many credits in law you have, how many credits in economics you have, and so on and so forth. So what we do when we do a pre-evaluation for any candidate is that we go through the each and every aspect that how many accounting credits you would have, and how many other credits that you need, whether it is business, whether it is economics, whether it is law, and so on and so forth. And then we reach on to the conclusion that do you qualify or not. And we're not in the process of overselling anything just for the purpose of registering. If you would not be qualified, we'll tell you. If you're qualified, we'll tell you right away that you can go ahead. But you know what we always do with the people who are not qualifying at that point in time, there is a bridge course that we offer, and that bridge course effectively makes you eligible right from the day you get registered if you complete that bridge course within 18 months of time from the registration. So what we have been telling students who are short of at times the rightful business credits or accounting credits, or who are coming from the science background, or people who have done their BCom long back and they do not have satisfactory accounting or economics credits or law credits. So we tell them that this is the way out, and we'll tell them the exact course that they would need, which will fill in the marginal credits that they would need in order to sit for the exam. So that would help you in terms of are registering there, and of course, getting those requisite credits. And of course, you have to complete that course within 18 months of time, so that you finally get the go ahead, for at the time of getting the certification done. But since you register there, and of course, uh, Guam really permits you, and of course, helps you, that a pursuing candidate can really go and sit there. So that is something that you can explore of. I don't know. I have not seen your credentials. I don't know if this answers your query, but you can forward your credentials to the team out here, and team will be more than happy to help you in terms of which state to really go forward to. Kyle, do you want to add anything if I missed anything?
No, no, that was interesting advice, but because of some allowing that in progress, so I think you covered it fine.
Yeah.
And I do need the drop off. I see one more question, but I think you and Ben can handle that one because that's a preference thing. But I do need to drop off and get ready for something I have at the 9 a.m. hour here.
Sure, sure, Kyle. Thank you very much, Kyle. We'll connect later on, Kyle. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Thank you,
Have a
Kyle.
good
Thank you.
Friday.
Thank you.
Or I guess it's Thursday evening for you, almost Friday. All right. Bye,
I'll take
everyone.
Thank you, Kyle.
I'll take this last one, guys. What should be the sequence for CPA exam? Ben, you want to pick it up?
Okay, sure. So actually it's kind of personal preference, right? So but based on like my observations with my other partners or international candidates. So right now with the disciplined exams, a lot of people actually people do the FAR with the BAR first. So because I think their content are quite similar. So then the other pair will be auditing and regulations. So the thing that I would strongly advise against is to do financial accounting with regulations, because I think you just don't want to mix up the tax accounting with the financial accounting.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. You nailed it. Guys, the right way to approach CPA exam is to see the similarity. There is a lot of similarity between financial accounting and reporting, and audit, and bar. So you can pick up any mix. We at times we suggest that financial accounting and audit should take hand in hand. And once you have done financial accounting, then you pick up bar, or you can pick financial accounting and bar together, as Ben said. Irrespective, take the familiar subjects together. That would help you in terms of clearing that. Last one, guys. Is there any age limit to pass CPA exam? Nope. There is no age limit, my friend. The only age limit you have is in your mind. Just go ahead, sit for the exam, start preparing. Rest is going to be the history. Do not worry else than that. Just start off as soon as possible. With that, we bring this to an end. Ben, I think we do not have any further questions. Thank you very much, students, for joining in. I think it was pleasure having you here, and I hope this webinar was helpful to you. In case of any further queries, clarification, if somebody from FinTram can put in the number and the email ID here, so that team can really reach out, I think that will be really great. Ben, thank you very much for joining us. And it is always pleasure to have you on board, and of course to get your advice, get your 2 cents. Thank you very much. We look forward for many more sessions as such, to make sure that we are able to contribute to the fraternity in the best possible way. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ben, and look
Okay,
forward.
thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.